the daughter of the ambitious, ruthless, strict Catholic Queen Isabella of Castile, Isabel the Dirty, and King Ferdinand of Aragon, the beautiful Juana was born in 1479 as the middle child of the family's 5 children, Isabel, John, Maria, and Catherine, Catherine of Aragon. Juana was a very beautiful girl. She had fair skin, attractive deep blue eyes, and her hair was between strawberry blonde and auburn, just like her mother and her sister Catherine. The other protagonist in our story, Felipe I, or Felipe the Handsome, July 22, 1478 to September 25, 1506, was the son of Maximilian I, Holy Roman Emperor, and Mary of Burgundy. He was less than 4 years old when his mother died, making him heir apparent to the Burgundian Netherlands. In 1496, his father married the handsome 18-year-old Felipe to Juana, who was 16, the second daughter of Isabella I of Castile and Fernando II of Aragon. This marriage was perhaps the most important marriage in Europe in 1496. Spain, which had become the most powerful and wealthy state in the world after Christopher Columbus discovered America on behalf of Spain in 1492, was filled to the brim with precious metals by the American gold and silver flowing into Spain, and thus another equally powerful state, the Roman/Germanic Empire, was marrying. Indeed, the product of this marriage would be Charles V, the new and famous heir to the Roman Empire, inherited from Maximilian I, the father of Philip the Handsome. Although the prospective spouses had never met each other before, they fell in love immediately upon seeing each other. However, Philip the Handsome soon lost interest in the relationship, and the young and handsome man's attention turned to other women. Of course, it would be naive to expect complete marital fidelity from a man who, at only 4 years old in the 16th century, became Duke of Burgundy in 1482, and later, with the death of his mother-in-law, Isabel the Dirty, King of Castile in 1504. However, handsome Felipe exaggerated his philandering and had so many women that he became uncontrollable. And, like the wife of every prodigal, this desperate, uncontrollable state of mind led to a level of jealousy in Juana that some considered pathological. Shortly after their marriage, the couple's children arrived almost continuously, accompanied by Felipe's extramarital affairs, which only increased Juana's jealousy. They named their first child after Felipe's grandmother, Queen Eleanor of Portugal. Juana tried to watch and monitor her husband whenever they were together. Even though she was in the final stages of her second pregnancy, she didn't hesitate to accompany him to Ghent, hundreds of miles from their hometown, on February 24, 1500, to attend a ceremony in honor of her husband's grandfather, Carlos. It is said that she gave birth to her son in the palace restroom in Ghent. Then, on July 18, 1501, a daughter was born in Brussels, named Isabel, in honor of Juana's mother, Isabel la Católica, the Dirty Isabel. Juana was a very well-educated and highly intellectual woman. Her academic training encompassed a wide range of subjects, including law and civil law, genealogy and heraldry, grammar, history, languages, mathematics, philosophy, reading, spelling, and writing. Among the classical writers she read were the Christian poets Juvencus and Prudentius, the clergyman St. Ambrose, St. Augustine, St. Gregory, and St. Jerome, and the Roman statesman Seneca, whom she studied in Latin. Upon her mother's death in November 1504, Juana became Queen of Castile, and her husband was crowned King of Castile on July 12, 1506. Madly in love with her husband, Felipe the Handsome, this woman, despite being betrayed numerous times, could not let go of this flirtatious prince, with whom she had borne 6 children. However, the ruling power would never forgive the distraction of attention and the neglect of the prince. Although Philip I, who indulged in profligacy and pornographic pleasures, was crowned King of Castile on July 12, 1506. He died at the age of 28 in Burgos, Castile, after a 5-day illness on September 25, 1506, after only about a month and a half of reign. The official cause of death was typhoid fever. However, the true cause, generally agreed upon, was poisoned by his father-in-law Ferdinand II, who had never liked his foreign-born Habsburg son-in-law and was unwilling to share power. When the handsome Felipe died, he left behind the poor royal widow Juana, so in love with him that she could never accept his absence. Juana survived her husband for nearly half a century. However, throughout her life, she refused to accept his death. After her husband's death, Juana hugged his lifeless body and cried for days from time to time. It is said that she dug up Philip's rotting corpse, kissed it, hugged it, and sniffed it, then asked those around her, "How wonderful it smells." She dug up her husband's body and gazed at it with loving eyes for hours. It is even said that she took his rotting corpse with her to Tordesillas, where she traveled so as not to be separated from her husband. The Queen of Castile, Juana, was now Juana the Mad. In early 1509, her biological father declared her insane in Spain and imprisoned her in a castle. Juana took only her youngest daughter, Catherine, with her. Placed in the cell next to hers, the little girl grew up watching life outside through the window. When Juana was 36, her daughter was taken from her and left alone in the castle. She refused to eat, dress, or sleep. She was beaten, force-fed, and tied up to keep her calm. Towards the end of her life, her mental health declined significantly, and she passed away at the age of 76 in a convent, where she lived for nearly 40 years, isolated from her children as a prisoner. The memory of Juana faded with the passing of time, but despite the passage of time, the figure of this beautiful blonde woman, driven mad by love, has always retained its allure for romantics. The woman driven mad by love was a rare, intriguing, and legendary phenomenon highly valued by the masses. Furthermore, this story, steeped in nobility, the recklessness with which she spurned the power offered to her by the world's most powerful state for her love, the fervent passion of unrequited love, and extreme jealousy, all elements of this shocking story, has earned a rightful place among history's unforgettables. In 1836, the French painter Charles de Steuben depicted all the themes of the Queen's legend in one painting. This beautiful painting then unleashed an unbridled passion on the imagination of the masses in Spain. The madness of the noblewoman Juana's love, captured and embodied in the painting, became firmly fixed in the history of Spain and love.